4/10 of rain yesterday afternoon. It was a nice, warm, easy shower, so probably good for all the beans we got planted. You couldn't have waited to do that somewhere else. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be another case of rained out for a few days and then push us back to the next rain, and then it's going to rain again, and just keep repeating that cycle. Who knows, it may be June before we get everything in. Living right at the farm is super convenient. You can leave the seed tender on if you're going to plant multiple days in a row. With these rains that keep coming though, I'm adding extra work to my day every morning to get my truck unhooked because it's raining us out of the field and I'd like to have something to drive around in. I guess I could take the old highboy around the block if it would even start. This thing's seen its better days. If you squint really hard, look really close out there, you can just about see the rows of my emerged March planted beans. It only took them 4 weeks. They're finally pushing out of the ground. The 3-inch rain, I think, is what really slowed them down after we planted them, and it's just not been super warm. If we get pushed back into mid-May for planting beans, we are going to be tickled to death to have 300 acres planted in March, because they will probably be our highest yielding. They'll have the longest vegetative period. I also would say, if that's the case, this may be, and a lot can change between now and harvest, a very good data set on our farm to encourage us to plant more, because this 300 acres we planted was not the only field or fields that were ready to go. We just didn't know what to expect. Seeing this now, we might actually plant a lot more if we get the same hand dealt to us in the next seasons. Fast forwarding a day on you, the sun did not come out yesterday like they predicted for a nice 60-degree day with the sun shining. It didn't appear till about 4 o'clock, so it ended up being a pretty miserable day in the wind. It's chilly first thing this morning. At least we have the sun out. Lucky we're gonna change the blades on the Batwing. It is the 3rd season we've had this R15 mower. They get a little dull after a while, especially after someone runs them in the dirt. Totally not me. We're gonna go ahead and replace them. Lucky, although I enjoy your company, we're gonna have to get you on the invisible fence. You really shouldn't be out here in the shed. Who knows what you get into. Not a good place for dogs. This 15-foot Batwing mower has 3 blade sections. Each blade section has a stump jumper on it, and then the blades are attached. You go right in there with a big 1-inch impact. You gotta find the actual blade, drop her in there, loosen it off. They'll be nice and rusty. Hit them off, fold them up, put the new blades on, then tighten them back up. It's a very labor-intensive process. Lucky, I told you, go back to the house, man. You're gonna get crunched out here, or put to work, which is even worse.
We have to put a board or something in to hold them.
Whoa. Go a little more. Whoa.
Go up the house. Go on.
Whoa. Too much.
Too much. Go back.
Yeah, just a hair. Whoa. Well, I already went too far, but it fell right out, so. Did that fall out too? It did.
Take the nuts off of them.
I wonder if there's 2 different direction blades. No, surely they're not, because they spin.
No. It's hard
Yeah, there is, Jeff.
Huh?
There is 2 different direction blades.
That doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does, because the different sides probably, they may not spin the same direction. We just happen to grab both wrong sets at once. That's what a couple of years of Jeff mowing through the dirt looks like.
Yeah, thanks.
And the trees and the stumps. I would never do such a thing.
Set aside.
Couldn't have been me.
Yeah, thanks.
I was going to give you guys a little update on the tile project I talked about the other day, or the repair job. First and foremost, I got the all clear on the locate the dig request I put in the end of last week. The nearest natural gas pipeline is past that pole to the east, so we're plenty far away from that, not planning on going that far. The anhydrous line's on the south edge of the field by the tree, so we're good. These are all my flags from lines I've located. I know this tile is running water. The reason I know it's running water is because I punched through it with the tile probe last week. You can actually see right there where I did it, and it drained the water. The bad news looking at this today is that it's not running water that great because there's just a little moat sitting down here, surprisingly. I hand dug this yesterday. I must have been feeling particularly energetic. Our goal is to kind of figure out the status of the line. We're going to install an inlet or a surface direct drain to the tile, but the first thing I'm going to do before I even get to that step is I'm pretty certain this is running to the south, and there's a lateral that crosses deeper over there, right where I got that kind of cross of flags. And I'm gonna dig up the junction there because it looks like the higher line, this is about 22 inches in the ground, keeps going south, and the lateral goes the other direction, and it's deeper. It's about 5 or 6 inches deeper. And if it looks like it's draining fine there in the deeper line, I may actually take this line and just drop it into the other line, because based on aerial images, the lateral that runs this way, crossways, is draining just fine. It's this line that's a little lackluster. So I'm gonna get the backhoe and dig where all those flags are, see what I find. That's what this tile looked like. It's about a 5-inch clay, a little smaller. It's in good physical shape. This doesn't indicate it here because I knocked it out, but it's like 85–90% full of mud. I took the bulk of it off with the backhoe, and then I'm just doing some hand prospecting here. This is the north-south line, and the lateral should be right over here. Okay, you're gonna have to follow along here. I know this is probably gonna confuse some of you. This is the north-south line I was talking about. Comes out of that wet hole, and then this is that lateral. It's a couple inches deeper in the ground. And I was curious how they jumped it at about the same elevation and didn't have issues on the other side. Well, look, they plugged it with a brick. And because there's not a suck hole here, there's no water actually going down through there. That brick, look on the back side of it, there's the tile back there, is effectively blocking any flow from pulling into that pipe. Now, what we have here is probably a newer line. And when I say new, and this is the fascinating part about these could be 100 years old. I mean, you really don't know. They cracked a hole in this lateral. This is the one that looks like it's been draining, and they set it to weep. Setting it to weep would be just, you butt them up next to each other, and the crack will just allow the water to drain out of this one into that one. And just looking at this, and the weeping doesn't help because it could have filled some water in here. This tile is, I don't know, 60% full of mud. It is moving water. You see the water leaving right now? That is a good sign, but it looks to me like this tile is not in great shape either. Visually, it is moving water. So I think what I'll probably try to do is legitimately tie them in, dig this back a little bit, dig this a little bit back, put a plastic tee in here, and then run a new line a little bit deeper, because this honestly should have been dropped down a little bit to hit that better. And that may actually improve our flow a little bit, and possibly could even maybe clean the line out a little bit. I doubt much. Usually once the damage is done, it's done. It is neat though to dig these up and see what they did. That might help visualize this a little bit better. Here's that lateral. Grade looks like it is northeast to southwest. Tiles are okay. I mean, that one looks like it's crushed a little bit. It's egged down some. These are a bigger line than that is, and that one very marginally flowing water at most. I think if we just put a T here, it would make a positive difference on the line as a whole. I just interrupted Dad's lunchtime nap to come get his opinion on this. He'll be on his way shortly. What I think he will want to do, just guessing based on working with him, is the minimal amount possible to fix everything. He'll just want to put a new T in here and then fix all that up, and then put an inlet over there and give surface flow. I think grade's messed up from here to there somehow, or maybe it wasn't right to begin with. I'd love to, with the backhoe, ditch a new 6-inch dual wall from here to the inlet and put an inlet at the end of it, and then tie in the old clays to the north. I think that would be the best long-term solution that doesn't involve an actual tile plow. I would imagine we'll go with what he says, because this is his farm, or his and his brother's farms, and I'm just kind of a farmhand here, so I'll do what he says. I just like to do things further beyond. In a perfect world, like I said, we'd have a trencher or a plow out here and have this thing lateraled on 30s, and we would just forget about these old clays. We got our T here on the downstream side. Now we're gonna go put our inlet upstream, and hopefully the inlet, if we get a rain, pushes enough water to clean the line out a little bit. Doubt it, but one can dream. Part 2 is complete. Teed up an inlet right there, hooked in the old clay, ran south. Go through all this trouble, probably won't even run water, but it looked like it did when I punched through it when there was water standing out here. So it's got to be better than just having a swamp. At least get the surface water out and let the rest of it wick away into the atmosphere. The chapter of this wet hole is far from closed. Let's just close it for now and worry about other things. We've done a little bit of scouting. We're just really close to being able to plant. There's rain coming tomorrow, so I don't know if that's going to happen. The one thing I found to do productive is spray that 80 acres that we planted right ahead of the rain the other day. Up at the field, southwest of Mattoon, waiting on my tanker driver to show up. He went to get a load. There are some tractors moving over here. It's been really sporadic on the journey up here. There were tractors sprinkled here and there, probably on quicker drying farms. Some farms like this one right here, you can tell there's still a little moisture on top. We got this planted though, and the sprayer can run before anything with floaters on. Be nice to find some dry dirt ahead of another rain tomorrow morning. I just don't know that's going to happen. Dad's out scouting now. We're planning on getting this 80 sprayed and go from there. We may not be able to accomplish anything else. I was bored waiting on Jeff to come down the road. I dug up some of these beans. They were planted 2 days ago, and they've already swollen up. One of them I found had actually cracked the seed coat and was putting out a little root, which is surprising for how short they've been in the ground. Maybe the soil is warmer than we thought. I guess we did work it, which does help. Plenty of moisture under that crust, unfortunately. The good news is that our tanker's here, so we're gonna get loaded up and spray this 80 and head home unless we get other orders. There goes Curry's to plant some corn. They're the ones working to my east. They stopped by while I was waiting on Jeff, said they were gonna plant that 30 acres, and then they didn't know that they had anything else that would go. So kind of in the same boat we are, just not enough dry ground. We made it back home safe and sound. We got the field sprayed up. Pretty uneventful. Since we're not finding any dry fields, we just gotta wait and see what the rain does tomorrow. Ahead of the rains this morning, we're gonna be putting out a trial of Syngenta's latest and greatest one-pass pre-emergence corn herbicide program. You've heard me talk about it before. The product is Storn. Storn consists of Dole, Callisto, pyroxasulfone, which is a really strong residual chemistry, group 15, works very well against water hemp, and then of course the patented bicyclopyrone. We're also going to be supplementing that with atrazine, because atrazine plays really well in this mix and also gives you some added grass control. Storn is supposed to be the step up from Acuron, which is quite the statement considering Acuron is one heck of a corn herbicide. We're putting out a 25-acre trial this year to try the product and see if it's everything they're touting it to be. Unless, of course, we get rained out, which may be a possibility. I'm going to turn the sprayer on, get it agitating, and then get this mixed up. Great, we're loaded up, mixed up, and that looks like rain right there at that tree line. Oh yes, that's gotta be rain. I've really got myself in a predicament here. I'll give you the quick rundown. We are spraying Storn at the higher label rate of 2.4 quarts an acre. I've already mentioned the active ingredients in there. We supplemented it with a little bit of atrazine to help increase the effectiveness of the HPPD inhibitors, as well as to give some increased grass control. That's one of the nice things about the premix of Storn, is that if you're on an atrazine limited acre, you can still go ahead and run it because it doesn't have atrazine. For those of you who are unaware, some acres, whether you're by a water source, a watershed, actually are not allowed to use atrazine because it is a long-lasting water-soluble herbicide that sometimes finds its way into groundwater. So if you're worried about leaching, people don't use atrazine. We love atrazine. It's a great staple of our chemical programs. It's a little troublesome in the mix just because it doesn't hold into solution very well. Storing's supposed to be the step up from Acuron. With all the Callisto in it, you are getting burn down activity. I can tell you right now, with the rain moving in, we're not going to get the rain safe on the burn down. We mostly have grass out here, so if I was concerned about grass, I would supplement this with some Roundup. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. We're looking for residual activity, and I think this product has it for us. We will still work this field ahead of the planter, so I'm just trying to get this on in a timely manner so I can get rinsed out before I go back to spraying soybean chemical. That's my predicament, is I've guaranteed at least a triple rinse of the sprayer, because these group 27s, the atrazine, they don't play well with soybeans. You gotta clean your sprayer well. With 120 foot of boom, it doesn't take very many passes to get to 25 acres. I might be able to get 2 rounds in at most. We'll come back to post spray the rest. Just ran out of chemical, I believe. Yeah, 24.8 acres spray. That's not bad. I usually end up shorter than I expect because I don't do my math right. I'm running the rinse tank into the solution tank. Gonna do my first round of rinsing here, get 90% of the product out, and then I might even do a second rinse here with a little more of my rinse tank. That way I can dilute the booms a little bit, get some of this Callisto, atrazine, bicyclopyrone out of here. The dual's not an issue, nor is the pyroxasulfone. Those are soybean friendly. The HPPDs and the atrazine, they don't like soybeans. 2 separate rinses from the clean water tank. Now I'm doing a boom air purge out here. I haven't sprayed here, and this is so diluted that it's almost a non-event. Just the safest, most, I'm not gonna say economical, but ethical way to clean out your boom is in a target field where you're not over applying. It's the way to do it. In case anyone was curious what March planted corn would look like this year, there is where we tested the row shutoffs on Dad's corn planter at the end of March, right before we put those beans in. And it looks like from the road, we've got a pretty photo-esque stand of corn. I don't know that I would bet on that most years. This year though, maybe we should have been planting more corn, because that looks nice from the road, the whole acre of it. Dad and I have driven seemingly hundreds of miles in a very small radius circle, looking for fields the past few days that are close enough to work and plant, and it just doesn't seem like it's wanting to dry right now. A lot of fields appear somewhat dry on top. You take a shovel to them, and underneath there's mud balls. That means you'd cause a ton of compaction if you went out there and sliced corn or beans in the ground, which is frustrating because although the rain earlier today didn't amount to any more than a couple hundredths, rain tonight, and then 2 days from now they're calling for over an inch of rain and severe storms. So probably gonna be May for us before we're back in the fields. It is what it is. We go from dry years, easy years, flip over to wet, delayed planting seasons. And I'm not gonna call this a challenging year by any means. It's just kind of frustrating that we're so close every time to running, and then it rains again. That's just the nature of farming. We got to play the cards we're dealt, and we'll continue to do so, as opposed to sitting around the farm watching paint dry, or more literally the ground dry. I'm gonna go home and mow my yard, which is about my least favorite thing to do. So I'm taking off. I'll check back in when I have an update. As always, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!